Welcome to the Orange Water and Sewer Authority Board of Directors work session this Thursday, June 14th, 2018. You will notice we have a smaller crowd than usual. So Ray DeBose, Robert Morgan, and Rushir Bora are absent from today's meeting. Please everyone be reminded that 5 affirmative votes are required for action items. Does any board member know of a conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest with respect to any item on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, on June 5th, 2018, the Carrboro Board of Aldermen reappointed Bob Morgan to the OWASA Board of Directors, so congratulations to Bob. Other announcements: the board held its 4th training session with Visions Inc. on May 30th to support the transition of experienced board members rotating off the board and planning for the orientation and integration of our 2 new board members, both with respect to the operations of the board and to recently acquired learnings in working with cultural differences. Any other board members have anything that they would like to add about our 4th meeting? Announcements by other board members. Barbara?
The Human Resources Committee will meet on Monday, June 25th, 2018 at 5 p.m. in the OWASA boardroom to continue the discussion about retiree health benefits for new hires and deferred compensation 457 plan.
Thanks, Barbara. Any other board members have announcements tonight? Todd, if you can go ahead and give us an update.
Sure, Todd Taylor, General Manager.
Staff announcements first.
Okay. Yes, Todd Taylor, I'm General Manager of Operations. Just wanted to let everybody know that customers will soon be receiving their water quality report card for 2017 in the mail. We're also happy to provide that to anyone that wants a hard copy. Just call in a request, and we can also email that out. And it is available on our web site right now. The key takeaway from that report is that we continue to meet or surpass all federal and state drinking water standards for the year 2017. And I always like to take this time to thank the hardworking and dedicated OWASA staff who really have a passion for making sure that the community has safe and reliable drinking water. And we'd also like to remind all the customers that if you have any questions about water quality, you can always contact our lab. The phone number there is 919-537-4228. And also we continue to offer free in-home water quality testing to any customer that requests that. Thank you.
So, additional comments, suggestions, and information items by board members. John?
Thank you. Johnny Riley gave Ray and me a tour of the lands around Cane Creek recently, which was very, very interesting. I looked at the forest management plans on paper, but there's nothing like seeing it in person. So we had a very good tour. And the thing that stood out for me as we went on that tour is how much of that land has been planted in pine plantations by OWASA, over the years. And so a lot of those pine plantations now are very overcrowded and need thinning. And so that may be the highest priority for us. I'm not going to, we need to get our foresters' advice on that, but certainly that is a high priority. And I'm really confident that we can convince our neighbors out there that thinning on those tracts that have been planted in pines is a good idea and would not have harmful effects on them. I think people would rather live near a healthy, growing, attractive forest than kind of a unhealthy thicket. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we appreciated the good tour that Johnny gave us.
Thank you to Johnny for that and for your observations. Any other board members?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I went to the Science Cafe, Carolina Science Cafe. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Ed presented there once a couple of years ago, I believe. And this was, when was it? June 6th. And it was Mark Striner of the US EPA, who's here locally, and he was talking about Gen X, and he's been involved in this research work about Gen X and the water and other contaminants and so forth. And I went up and introduced myself, and he was very, very nice about that. And I asked if I could get a slide, so if there's interested in that, I could get that there. His main message through that was, it's not just Gen X. There's a lot of focus around Gen X, but there's a whole bunch of other chemicals that they're finding that are quite dangerous, in that PFAS category. Somehow the media has gotten focused around Gen X, but that's not the main priority in his mind, I think, if I'm not misinterpreting him. But also when I spoke to him, he had talked about noticing the biosolids and sampling the biosolids, as we noted in our NERDS committee meeting, upstream from King Creek, and finding some contaminants there. He said that Burlington is no longer putting biosolids there. So I thought that was encouraging to hear. I don't know if we can, I know one of our next steps is to figure out what Burlington is doing in that area. But he seemed optimistic that they had actually paused. That's all, just wanted to share that.
Great, thank you. Other comments, suggestions, or information items? Well, and I have one. Our new board member just walked in. So Bruce is here tonight to get a little bit more information about the board he's going to be joining. So congratulations on your appointment and welcome. Would you like to come and make a comment? Are you good? Okay. We will now move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like to pull from the consent agenda? We have 5 items currently, 3 resolutions, and 2 sets of minutes.
Heather, I have just a comment on one, but I don't want to pull it if I may.
May?
Just on agenda item 2 on the GC Mass Spec, I've mentioned before, this is an investment I support. I also, just as a somewhat humorous aside, I'm happy to be associated with an organization that will use words like malodorous. So whoever put that in. But I did want to make a more serious comment with regard to the focus. I think the focus on the taste and odor issues is appropriate. I'm pleased to see that we're being proactive about looking at the future. Just a little reminder, this instrument that we are proposing to purchase is a very powerful instrument. And I think one of the things the lab staff can do is start to establish a fingerprint of what what chemicals other than H2O are in our lakes as sort of an early warning sign. And I'm confident that Katie and her staff will take that, just to emphasize it. It can do a lot more than just look at taste and odor. So just wanted to emphasize. So thank you.
If there are no other
So moved. Second.
comments, so moved by Yinka, seconded by Barbara. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now move on to our regular agenda, and the first item is the approval of the schedule of rates, fees, and charges, annual budget, 5-year capital improvements program, and cost of living and merit pay increases. We have a total of 5 different resolutions that we will need to take up separately. So, have comments on this, any of these, from members of the public? None? Board? Resolutions start on page 6.7. Would like to move Resolution A, resolution adopting the schedule of rates, fees, and charges effective on or after July 1st, 2018 for system development fees and on or after October 1st, 2018 and for all other rates, fees, and charges.
So moved.
Second.
So, moved by Jeff, seconded by Barbara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Unanimously. Resolution B on page 630 and 631. This is the resolution adopting the annual budget for Water and Sewer Authority OWASA for the fiscal year July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Barbara moves, Jeff seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We now have Resolution C, which comes in two parts that we must approve separately. First one on page 6.37 is the resolution approving the capital improvements program and budget for fiscal years 2019 to 2023. There are no comments. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Inka moves. Do I have a second? John seconds. Sorry, John Young seconds. So, Yinka moved, John Young seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. The second part of that is on page 638 to 640 in our agenda packet. The capital project resolution for fiscal year 2019 infrastructure improvements. Comments? Can I have a motion?
Second.
John Young moves, Jeff seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Resolution D on page 6.41 and 6.41 and 6.42 of employee classification and authorized compensation, adjusting affected employees' compensation to the minimum of the pay range and authorizing cost of labor and merit pay increases for eligible employees. And board agreement is needed on the following pieces of information. The cost of labor adjustment for all employees who meet their expectations. The recommendation is 1%. Merit increase to all employees rated as meet expectations at their October 2018 annual performance review. The recommendation is 3%. Merit recommendation to all employees rated as exceeds expectations at their October 2018 annual performance review. Again, that recommendation is 4.5%. And merit increase to all employees rated as exceptional at their October 2018 annual performance review. The recommendation is 6%. These are all in pages 6.5 and 6.6 of our agenda packet, which we have discussed before. So we do need to, in this resolution, actually spell out those 4 links. Discussion.
I have a question. So the percentages, I know when we're looking at the total for the total pay increases, are those percentages kind of similar to the same percentages we have now? So like the highest being 7%.
So the highest would be 6%.
So with the cost of labor included.
So the cost of
labor is 1%, and then
Stephanie Glasgow.
Stephanie Glasgow, Director of Human Resources and Safety. If you look at page 6.6, about the middle of the page where it says total pay increases, a meets expectations rating would receive a total of 4%, and exceeds expectations rating would receive 5.5%, and an exceptional rating would receive 7%.
Your question is that similar?
Is that similar to what we have now? I know we added an additional rating, but I didn't know what the max percent was
Okay, so this is new for the board's change in the pay administration guidelines effective December of 2017. So what we provided last year in fiscal year 18 was a cost of labor percent of 1, a merit increase for those receiving a successful rating of 3%, and 6% for those receiving an E rating.
Maybe I can offer some clarification that our policy says that these multiples part of the guidelines,
Yes.
so that choose the rate increase for the meets expectations, and then the others are 1.5. We haven't always followed that, but that is our guidelines.
Right. In December of 2017, the board approved a resolution that said below expectations would receive no increase. Meets would receive 1 times the COLA increase and 1 times the merit increase. And exceeds expectations rating would receive 1 times the COLA increase and 1.5 times the merit increase. Exceptional would receive 1 times the COLA and 2 times the merit increase.
In October 2017, the increases were the same. It was a 4% for a successful employee, which we classed as a meets expectations employee, and for exceptional, it was 7% in October 2017, and it will be that again if you approve this. What's new this time is there's an in-between category of exceeds expectations, which, as you see there, is a total of 5.5. So it is very similar to what was done a year ago.
There's new limits on the amount of percentage of employees that can be rated in those categories. I just wanted to remind you of that.
Any other questions for Stephanie? Any other discussion? Would somebody like to make a motion?
A motion that we adopt the resolution with the recommended cost of labor and merit increases that staff has recommended. I need to go through all the numbers, the ones that you described to us earlier.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. 1% cost of labor.
Yes.
3% for meets expectations, 4.5% for
Yes.
exceeds expectations, and 6% for exceptional.
Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Second.
So John Young made the motion, Eva seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. Moving on to item number 7 in our agenda, I'm going to turn it over to Yuka.
So we have a resolution honoring the services of Barbara M. Fouché to the Chapel Hill, Carrboro, Orange County community as a member of Orange Water and Sewer Authority's Board of Directors.
Okay.
So whereas on September 15, 2015, the Orange County Board of Commissioners appointed Barbara M. Fouché to serve on the Board of Directors of the Orange Water and Sewer Authority, OWASA. And whereas Ms. Fouché served on the OWASA Board of Directors from September 28, 2015 to June 30th, 2018, including a term as Secretary of the Board of Directors from July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2017. And whereas Ms. Fouché served on the board's Community Engagement, Finance and Human Resources Committee during her service and chaired the Human Resources Committee from August 2017 to June 2018. Whereas Ms. Fouché gave freely of her time, energy, and talent in serving the community and OWASA customers with unselfish dedication and compassionate concern. Whereas Ms. Fouché's instances and guidance for fairness and human kindness for all was instrumental in OWASA's establishment of a diversity and inclusion program, which will benefit employees in our community long after the end of her service as a board member. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Orange Water and Sewer Authority's Board of Directors that 1. The board expresses its sincere appreciation and deep gratitude to Barbara Anfushi for her outstanding service, leadership, and stewardship as a member of the OWASA board. And the board wishes for her much happiness in the years ahead. And 2, this resolution be recorded in the minutes of the OWASA Board of Directors and be part of the permanent record of OWASA, and that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the Orange County Board of Commissioners. So may I have a motion and a second to approve the resolution?
John Young moves, John Morris seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say
I gotta come get it.
Item 8, I'll now turn it over to John Young.
We have a resolution honoring the service of Heather Payne to the Chapel Hill, Scarborough, Orange County community as a member of the Orange Water and Sewer Authority's Board of Directors. Whereas on May 29th, 2013, the Chapel Hill Town Council appointed Heather Payne to serve on the Board of Directors of OWASA, and whereas Ms. Payne served on the OWASA Board from July 11th, 2013 to June 30th, 2018, including terms as Secretary of the Board of Directors from July 1, 2014 to June 30th, 2016, and as Vice Chair of the Board of Directors from July 1, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. And whereas Ms. Payne served on the board's Finance, Human Resources, and Natural Resources and Technical Services committees during her service, during which she served as chair of the Finance Committee from August 2014 to July 2016, and as chair of the Natural Resources and Technical Services Committee from July 2016 to August 2017. And whereas Ms. Payne, always mindful of her fiduciary role to the whole service community and of OWASA's unique responsibilities among its governing authorities, gave freely of her energy and talent and served with unselfish dedication and compassion. And whereas Ms. Payne was a strong proponent of OWASA employees and for providing competitive salaries and benefits, planning adequately for costs of construction, maintenance, and reconstruction of the water and wastewater facilities serving our community, and prudent fiscal management of the revenues and expenditures of OWASA, and OWASA has benefited greatly from her valuable combination of technical and legal experience and expertise. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Orange Water and Sewer Authority Board of Directors that the board expresses its sincere appreciation and deep gratitude to Heather Payne for her outstanding service, leadership, and stewardship as a member of the OWASA board, and the board wishes for her much happiness in the years ahead. This resolution be recorded in the minutes of the OWASA Board of Directors and be part of the permanent records of OWASA, and that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the town of Chapel. Is there a motion to support this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Jeff making the motion, Barbara seconding, and discussion. Any input from the public? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
You have to. You have to. You don't get a choice. picture.
I think it's time to review our
Okay.
board work schedule.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
It may seem odd that we're just rolling through this meeting, and I just want to acknowledge that we've worked several months and received input from the public and staff and committees on all of these topics. So it's easy for us to sit here and just kind of roll through them now, but it reflects a lot of hard work over the last multiple months.
That is very true.
I'd like to invite up Linda Lowe, our Communications Community Relations Officer. She has a request of the board. And Linda, would you tell them a little bit about it, please? Thank you.
Sure. So good evening. I've been really fortunate. This is week 3 for me. Amazing first week. Come closer and speak louder. Okay. So good evening. This is my 3rd week, and it's been an amazing 3 weeks. OWASA is such an amazing organizational culture, and that starts at the top. So thank you very much. I've been on what I call a listening tour, meeting with different team leaders, different members of the team, in different departments, with the goal of learning about people's experiences at OWASA and hearing what their goals are in terms of long-term and short-term for communications and community engagement. And these conversations have been so informative and insightful, and I hope with this information, I'll end up being able to develop with your support and guidance a communications and engagement plan that incorporates the needs of supporting daily business, but also really enhancing the engagement part of what we do with the communities in two-way dialogue. And I was talking to Ed, and I wondered if it would be possible to have a similar conversation with each of you to learn from your experiences and sort of what your goals are in terms of engagement and communications. I think the different insights that you would bring to that conversation would really help to build a really robust plan and the guidance that you bring. So I don't know if I need to formally ask for a motion to be able to contact you individually or what that process is, but that's my invitation.
No motion is necessary. We'll just, if anybody has issues, otherwise we'll just go with board consent for that request. You are free. Don, did you have a?
I just want to say thank you for asking. I was hoping you might ask if you said you'd been talking to everyone in the organization, so I really appreciate that. That's a sign of what's to come. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be emailing you soon.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next up is our July 12th work session. We do have 2 questions for the board regarding the schedule. Your next June meeting, we don't have any business items scheduled for that, and if the board agrees, we believe that can be canceled. Also in our 12-month schedule, the 2nd July and the 1st August meeting, we do not have any business items, and we think those also could be canceled. So if the board is so inclined, you could decide to do that tonight, or you could decide simply tonight to cancel the June and then decide at your July 12th meeting, where we'll be swearing in new board members, and also we have a pretty full agenda for discussion items on July 12th. We could wait until then to decide about the 2nd July or 1st August, but we think it might be good if you're so inclined to do that tonight so folks can make their plans for the summer. Also, I'll be happy to run through some of the key items on July 12th, but I'll pause there in case you want to discuss our schedule and possibly canceling those 3 meetings.
I have a question. So the likelihood of there not being anything, the way it's looking currently, there's nothing scheduled, and there's not going to be anything scheduled upcoming. It'll just be put into either one of the August ending or July beginning ones.
That's correct. I mean, certainly there could be something unforeseen that occurs where we'll, if the board canceled those meetings, but there's a need to have a board meeting or a special board meeting, that can happen fairly quickly. But based on our planning, that's correct. We don't have items that would need the board's attention at either of those three meetings.
One or canceling all three tonight? I agree with Ed. Canceling all three would make it so that be very considerate of us. Obviously recognizing that stuff we may need to either reinstitute one of those or schedule something specific. But is there any sort of comment?
It's okay with me.
Canceling all three? Need a motion for that? No. So does the board, we have a consensus among the board that we're just going to go ahead and cancel those three meetings tonight? Yes. So
Okay.
seeing consensus, we will go ahead and agree to cancel the June 28th, July 26th, and August 9th board meetings.
Great, thank you. On agenda page 9.2 and 9.3 is the draft agenda for July 12th. And there are three main discussion items. You'll be receiving the draft wastewater treatment plant reliability and risk assessment report by our consultant, CH2M. And you'll also get a staff report at that time. And we also, the word tentative is in front of item 7, status of action items and communications during OWASA related emergencies. We do expect to have the consultant's report from an after action review at Orange County Commission with the consultant with our partner. So it looks like that information is going to be available, and we plan to proceed to put that on your July 12th agenda. And then finally, you'll be discussing draft weights assigned to decision criteria regarding banking services.
Yeah. So just a request for Mary. As you know, I'm interested in the topic on the risk assessment, but I will be out of town on a work trip that week. So just, I'm assuming Adam will send out his materials in advance, but I don't know, whatever materials that are coming out from Adam or CH2M, I'd like to be able to chance to review those and send my comments in advance. So just a request. I assume that'll probably happen anyway, but sometimes we wait till the day of. So just a special request for advance. That might not be possible.
No, just for clarification. So agenda materials typically come out the Friday before
Yeah,
the
which would be
meeting, but
fine.
you want in advance.
No,
of-
that Friday before. It's just
Okay.
sometimes, for example, if we bring in a consultant, they might not
Right.
share their slides
gotcha.
until the day of. And I
Yep.
was just hopeful if I had some comments or questions that I could send them in advance.
Understand, great.
Mhm. Thank you.
Ruth, did you want to talk to us about the drought response operating protocol?
Yes, so back, I guess it was the end of May, I sent you all an email. And I just wanted to check in with you on that email that we had discussed at the Natural Resources and Technical Services Committee about the drought response operating protocol. That we would reconvene. Minutes or the summary of that meeting actually states that the committee did leave it up to staff with the reservoirs, with the recent rains we've had and our reservoirs being pretty close to full and kind of a good climate outlook. We really feel like drought is low risk right now. So it would be the most effective use or most efficient to look at the drop policy when we update the long range water supply plan. I just wanted to make sure that you were all in agreement with that before we proceeded down that path.
I'm seeing agreement on that. Do you have anything for us on the memorandum of agreement for the Triangle Water Supply Partnership?
I do. So if you look at the 12-month schedule in September, you'll notice it's listed as tentative memorandum of agreement for the Triangle Water Supply Partnership. I just want to give you all a heads up of what that is now, so that you don't just see it after being away for a couple months in the summer here. But the Jordan Lake Partnership is reinventing itself as the Triangle Water Supply Partnership. Bob has been working closely with staff here to review that draft MOA. We feel it's getting
What's MOA?
close. Oh, memorandum of agreement, thank you. Um, And the name change is because we are bringing in some new partners to that. Harnett County and Johnston County are both joining. They have no interest in Jordan Lake, so it's really to kind of broaden that title. But that MOA does spell out that we want to have local governing board approval of that, and then Ed would sign that MOA. So I just want to give you a heads up that that was coming today. That, all right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions around our 12-month? Would the board like to review pending staff action items? Oh, we skipped that for tonight.
I missed the last meeting, and I did observe the board let staff off really easy last time because there were no action items.
Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on our 12-month calendar? Any other board discussion before we move on to the election of officer? So, with that, I call on Barbara, Chair of the Nominating Committee. Go ahead and lead our election.
At the request of the chair of the board, I agreed to serve as the chair of the nominating committee to prepare a list of board members eligible for election to the offices of chair, vice chair, and secretary of the board. At the April 12th meeting, the board agreed that as a practice for the next election of officers of the board, every board member will be considered as eligible for election except those who have indicated their wish not to serve as officers. In that meeting, the board also agreed for the current election to observe one-year term limits such that none of the persons currently serving in the offices of chair, vice chair, and secretary would be eligible for election to succeed himself or herself in his or her current office. Please note that each office is elected annually at the board's first regular meeting in June. Terms for officers elected tonight begin July 1st, 2018. 5 votes are necessary to elect an officer. We will proceed to vote separately by paper ballot for each office until a board member is elected by receiving 5 or more votes. We will vote in as many succeeding rounds as may be necessary to accomplish the election of new officers for each office. If no nominee obtains 5 votes, the person who received the least votes in that round will be eliminated and a new vote will be held by paper ballot. So, Andy, did you have something, or you want me to go with the election of chair to the board? The nominations for the chair of the board of directors are Yinka Ayankoya and Ray DuBose. Please vote by writing your initials at the top of the ballot slips distributed by the clerk, then circle the name of the person for whom you are voting. The ballots will be collected and tallied by the clerk to the board, who will announce the name of the person elected. The ballots will be maintained as part of the permanent records of OWASA.
I do have 3 proxy ballots. and the board has unanimously elected Yinka Iankoya as chair of the board. Congratulations.
Okay, election of vice chair of the board. The nominations for the vice chair of the board are Yinka Iankoya, no. Jeff, no. Jeff Danner and Ray DeBose. So not Yinka. Please vote as we just did, and we'll proceed until.
Okay, and the board has elected Jeff Danner, 72, as vice chair of the board. Congratulations.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, knowing Ray's leadership talents and his willingness and his availability, I would like to withdraw as a nominee for secretary.
Really? Okay, so. You want to make the motion?
In a second,
Yeah.
vote, and that would elect. I would like to motion that we elect Ray DuBose secretary by acclamation.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. So congratulations to Yinka, Jeff, and Ray for being elected to your positions for next year. Ed.
For
do
the
we
second
have-
meeting in a row, no action items, and we've already reviewed the agenda for July 12th, so no other business from staff. Thank you.
Any other business from the board? Then thank you all very much. We are now adjourned. Okay, I think this is like